Hey, welcome, my friends, to this week's exciting episode of Motivational Moments with Maria. Every week it is my intent to bring you a story of someone's journey on how they overcame some of their obstacles and challenges to live their highest and best life. And this week is no exception. I have gathered the most incredible woman to speak with you today. She is an amazing woman. Her name is Caron MacLane, and she is from Seattle, Washington. Now, you're going to love her story, and you're going to love Caron. She is a clarity coach, and you're probably wondering, what is a clarity coach? I'm not going to tell you. She's going to tell you. So again, she's based out of Seattle, Washington. She's got some fun, and she has such wisdom to share with us. So, Miss Caron, welcome to Motivational Moments with Maria. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having this forum, Maria.
It's great that you joined us. Now, you're a clarity coach, and I said, what is a clarity coach? So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your clarity coach and what that's about.
I shall. So, as a clarity coach, I help people figure out who they are, what they want, and where they're going because we're without an owner's manual. And that's one of the things I work with people on is to develop an owner's manual because everything we buy has an owner's manual, except when it comes to us, we can be so clueless. And like you and I know, we've spent all these years learning how to be us.
I have never heard someone say it that way, but it's so spot on. Owner's manual. So you help people create their owner's manual. Wow. Directions, exercises, boom. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you segued into coaching.
Well, my journey started early on, and it was with my mother. And there was just so much friction. And there was so much friction from the very beginning. And she had her issues, and you know how people are with their issues, they share them with everyone around.
That's so true.
And so, being her first daughter, she shared them with me. And it was a lot of put downs, and it was a lot of, um, no, Caron, and a lot of, wait, we're doing it my way and we're doing what I want. And when that happens from a very early age, I just, there was very little room for me. I felt squished and like, okay, what does my mother want? Okay, how am I going to behave? And I'm on red alert all the time.
And it's so like it's almost as though every time you were around her, you were walking on eggshells because you didn't know what response you were going to get from her.
Exactly. And so that it ended up very traumatic. And then in school, I asked a lot of questions and I was positively reinforced for asking questions. Like teachers like people who ask questions. So I started doing well in school, but still doing poorly at home.
Mm.
And just it was so difficult because my mother, I wanted to love her and she would have these warm moments. And then all of a sudden she'd have these cold moments and Caron, Caron, Caron. And I grew up without any idea of who I was. Because if you just even look at the plant behind you, you water it, you put it in the light, you do what that plant does to nurture it and to grow healthy. I
Hmm.
never got that.
I see. And that can be devastating because it's almost as though you're living a different lifestyle outside of the home And then you have to turn a switch when you come home to be a different person. Now, what did that do to you emotionally and psychologically?
Emotionally, it just squished everything deep inside of me. And one of the benefits was is that I am highly sensitive to other people. And I was forced to be so I could figure out what was going on with my mother. And I never knew what my needs, wants, or desires were. And so when we were talking about taking a test to figure out assessments, I would take those and go, oh, that's who I am. Oh, that's interesting. Because it took me till I got out of the home in order to get there, in order
So
to
tell
get,
us to get who you were, to get to know who you were, right?
yes,
So you could be all of who you are
yes.
today. So tell us, so what changed? What triggered you to say, hey, I need to go work on myself because really need or I get to discover my true self? And what did you do to make that happen?
Oh my gosh, I really like the way you asked that question because it leads me right to the answer, which was I was working, first, I was working in a hospital and I was working at the front desk. And this home for emotionally disturbed kids, they would come in and they would bring a handful of kids that needed to go to the doctor. And one of those kids was, his appointment was really short. And somehow we just started talking with each other. And so I decided I wanted to go work there. Well, his caseworker was the head of hiring. And so his caseworker felt like he knew me. So I became a residential child care worker. And what that means is I would go and stay with the kids who were in residence and spend 24 hours with them, sleep there. And then what they did was they had consults with a psychiatrist about different kids. So we'd have a consult about a certain person, and then those of us involved with that certain person went. I went, oh my gosh, those psychiatrists know a lot. I want one for me. So I asked, oh, who might I go to for me? And at that point, I started seeing a therapist. Oh my gosh, when I started that, the therapist was hardly able to get a word in edgewise because I had so much pent up.
Mm, right. That's amazing that a child led you to your journey of transformation, of personal development and personal growth. And now a lot of people say there's this, negative stigma associated with having a psychiatrist, but the fact is that you had the insight to know that you may benefit. And I believe that we all should have a psychiatrist or a therapist to help us through some of the issues that we've all dealt with in our lives. Would you agree?
Well, as a matter of fact, I would. And the part that I have yet to mention is that I have a master's in counseling.
Ah, got it. Okay, great.
So when I do my work, I use any of the tools that I have available to me.
Good. That's great. And you use any of the tools. And so as you delved into your own journey and you were in school and you got your master's, and now you realize if I'm feeling this way, maybe there's others that need help with their own owner's manual on life, on their own life, right? And
Yes,
so,
I was in my master's in coaching, and we were working in triads. So one person would be give the problem, and the other person would coach them, and the other person would take notes. And one person raised their hand and said, well, what if we don't have any problems? I said, oh, I have enough. I have plenty. You could work on mine. I have more than enough.
I love that. It's share, share,
Yes,
share, share, so someone else can learn from them, right?
yes.
Because some people just grow up in an amazing environment, but it's probably the exception versus the rule. Because nobody gives parents a parenting book. Nobody gives you, like you said, a playbook on how to live your life. You have to go on this personal journey, and you did. So, what challenges or obstacles did you face on your journey to becoming your clarity coach, getting your master's in counseling, and helping all these children?
What? Well, is the stigma. Like, who can
Mhm,
I tell? Who can I tell that I'm doing this? And then there's the wait, what is right for me? Because after I was in therapy for a while, and then I got into therapy, individual therapy, and my therapist immediately says, "Oh, well, we have a group." And I'm like, "Okay." So I was in then group therapy and individual. And then I learned that there were classes and other kinds of personal growth. Well, I'm really physical. That's why I teach skiing in the winter, is
mhm,
because I there's the physicality part. And
mhm,
so then I learned that T. Harv Eker had courses that involve things like eating fire, like being
mm.
choked, at choking each other,
Oh,
jumping off of a bridge, doing bungee cords. And I'm like, yes, that's me. That's me. And because then I can get it in my body rather than just sit and talk with someone.
mhm. And so through the physical part of challenging yourself, you're able to release and allow yourself to experience just a whole different level of awareness in your life. And
Yes,
wow.
yes, I can remember when I had a female partner for the choking, and neither of us could choke each other. It gave me a whole new appreciation of choking. Like if someone went to choke me, I'm thinking they have to know what they're doing if they're going to choke me. So I raised my hand and said, "We're having trouble over here." The
You
instructor
know,
comes over and puts his hands around my neck, and the next thing I know, I'm on the floor.
wow.
And it was like, oh, when you know how to do it, it does work. But there's a sense of learning some things, and then I just was less afraid of someone coming to choke me. I'm like, wait a minute, wait, I have a certain amount of strength. And we learned in that camp how to say no, and how to say no and mean it with the definitiveness, with the volume, with the intensity. No. There's so many ways that people say no.
Yeah. Say it with, as you said, intensity. The answer is no.
Yes.
Hear my message. And I'm sure that with some of your coaching clients, you've had to teach them how to say no, and that no is a great word to use.
Yes. Yeah, it's the whole standing up for myself, because I had to learn that in addition to learning who I am. I had to learn how to stand up for me, because I always did it silently with my mother, and I did it by withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing. So I had to begin to come out of my shell and realize that when people ask me a question, well, some people are really interested in the answer.
Yes, and you didn't get that. And so you worked on yourself for many, many years. And then you said, okay, I have these gifts that I would love to share. And you not only did you do counseling for years, you also decided to open up your own coaching practice, which is what you're doing today. In addition, folks, I want to tell you, in addition, this woman is an amazing skier. And in the winter, she is teaching skiing. So when you teach and coach, so whether you're teaching skiing or whether you're coaching an individual on gaining and understanding their own owner's manual, I love that. What does that feel like?
Oh my gosh. Well, the slopes, it turns out that the slopes, I just feel alive. And I know that's my essence. I know that it's me. I feel fully me. I feel permission to do whatever it takes to get that person to do what they're saying they want to do. And then when I'm sitting even in front of the computer and working with somebody as they travel through different places than what they thought, because I'm responding to their energy. So just yesterday, this woman said to me, I want to serve others. I want to, and she's in our age range, and I want to serve others. And she had tears flowing down her face. And I said, the first person to serve is you.
Mm-hmm.
And until you have filled your cup, like Lisa Nichols says, until you filled your cup and it's spilled over on the saucer and you can serve from the saucer, it's time for you to work on you. And so she had this path that she thought she was going, and I could feel her energy and her tears, and they were all saying, me, me, me. And to be able to help somebody receive their own messages to themselves, I just, oh, I feel infused with life.
Isn't that, it is the most incredible feeling. And I am 100% in total agreement because there is nothing, nothing better when you can infuse that into someone. And that, my friend, is a gift that we need to continue to share. And working with coaches across the country, we see the impact that they make in others' lives. And that's why I appreciate you coming and sharing. So you've gone from I a mother that just cut me down all the time, that criticized me, and so you became very small, to now you have blossomed into this amazing flower, and you're sharing that beauty with others in your community, in your city, in your across the nation, quite frankly, because we touch souls everywhere. And that is great. That is awesome. And I thank you for that. And as you said, you feel and they feel after discussions with you a sense of aliveness, a sense of freedom, a sense of self-worth.
Well, and there's a sense of being being seen.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the idea, they feel seen and acknowledged. And that was something that I never had. I never had that feeling of being seen and acknowledged. And as you're talking, I'm going, oh yes, a point that I missed when I was just 3 years old. My mother was hospitalized for postpartum depression.
Mm.
At the same time, my parents were divorced and my father left. And at that same time, my dear nurturing grandmother, her husband died of suicide.
Mm.
And
Yes.
so that pivotal moment, I was totally alone. And that's what I have worked through, is that real sense of all those things combined at once, and that, wait, I can see others. I can reach out and acknowledge others. I can feel their energy. because I went through those things.
Hmm. Yes, and you're totally and we've all, like I said, have had traumas in our lives. And so let me ask you this question. Did you heal with your mother?
Yes,
And how was that?
it was incredible. I never thought I could. I tell you, it was layer after layer after layer after layer that I peeled off. And I what one of the iterations of my name, my branding name, was Caron Circle Coaching, with the notion that we come back around to that same place. And so I kept coming back around, but it's like a spiral up. And so I'd come back around to the same place, but I was higher. And until I was reached the end, the spiral
And I'm
stopped.
so that the spiral stopped and you were going spiraling up
Yep.
and ended up with an amazing relationship with your mother
Well,
and cleared it
she
out.
she ended up she passed, but now in her death, now that she's gone, I am healed from her.
Right, you're healed from her. And so many of us need that healing. And that's what you do really well. And having people help them with their clarity on where they want to be, where they want to go, what they want to do in their lives, and creating their own owner's manual. So tell me, I appreciate you joining me today because I believe our message and our stories need to get out. And I always want to end with something a little fun. Okay. So if a genie jumped on your shoulder right now and says, Miss Caron, I'm going to give you 3 wishes, what would those be?
Well, I love the genie on my shoulder. And the first one would be to live in my essence. And I do that when I'm coaching. So I want to coach. People talk about retiring. I think about even the thought, I'm like, coaching brings me alive. So I
Mhm.
want to be able to live in my essence. And I want to have impact. And I want to have people be more themselves so that they can live more fully. That is my wish for me to bestow to others.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. And to bestow your gifts onto them so they can carry it on from generation to generation to generation. And it's beautiful because some people think, oh, Jeannie, I want to be rich. No, you want to have impact and you want to live in your essence. And coaching and helping people with their clarity helps you do that. And it's a great thing. Now, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Miss Caron MacLane, how would they do that?
Well, if you want to talk with me, there's a reach out to me page on my website, which is claritycoachkaren.com.
Mhm.
And I'm on Instagram twice a day with videos. So if you want to check me out and see what I'm saying and what I'm like without really interacting as a way of introduction, you can do that on Instagram. And some of those same things get posted on Facebook on Clarity Coach Karen.
Okay. So your Instagram is Coach Caron, correct?
Coach Karen 1, yes.
Coach Caron one, Instagram. And by the way, that's Caron with a C, Caron. And your website, Clarity Coach Caron with a C.com. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one private appointment with her, go ahead and do it. Now, listen, my friends, Caron and I are both seasoned veterans. We've been around the world a lot, and we have a lot of wisdom to share. And I am big on never discount the wisdom of the people in your lives. And what I would love you to do is share this message with whomever you know that may need some discussion and some something going on in their lives and they want some clarity on, hey, I might be a little stuck right now, and I need to figure out who I really am, what I want to do, and where I want to go. So reach out to Coach. But what I want you to do now is share this message. So go ahead, hit the share button. And I'll be back next week. And as I always sign off, I'm going to say, my friends, stay focused, stay positive, always have fun. And no matter what you choose to be, do, or have, do it with passion. And for this week, make sure you're clear and have clarity. See you next week.